everybody, and welcome back to another severe storm film or weather forecast. In this forecast, we're going to be breaking down the region by region weather forecast and some regions having severe weather in them today. And as a matter of fact, the Storm Prediction Center has two slight risk areas for today and tomorrow, one in the South Central Plains and two tomorrow in the Southeast and South Carolina region. I'm going to be breaking down all that information for you, but let's start with region by region. Let's start by taking a look at the Pacific Northwest weather forecast here for the next day or two here. You can see with the HRRR model here, you can see we're going to be watching a band of rain moving in here. Another atmospheric river here. This will likely not pack a really big punch. However, this will likely have some pretty hefty snowfall amounts on the higher elevations. As we go into that time frame here, you can see that snow coming down as we go into that morning time frame tomorrow here. But as you can see, as we go later into the morning here, we're going to begin to start watching this break up into some thin snow bands. We're going to be watching that closely, maybe with some thunder snow, potentially. Yes, you heard me right, thunder snow, potentially, because some of these look pretty convective and pretty hefty in terms of snowfall. So that's something to keep an eye on going into that time frame. And two, there is instability to keep things going. But taking a look at this as we go into Sunday morning here, we're going to be watching another band of rain moving in here. Again, maybe with more heavy mountain snow. And this is the one that could potentially pack a bigger punch on Sunday for the higher elevations. This could potentially spawn the risk for a winter storm in the higher elevations and maybe even portions of the NorCal, getting up into that Washington state region as we go into that time frame. And speaking of snow totals, let's take a look at those snow totals now here. Out by Sunday afternoon here, you can see upwards of 20 inches of snow on the higher elevations there. We could potentially see a coating up to 8 to 12 inches in this region right here. Again, pretty hefty snow totals there. And what's also noticeable with this system here is that the heavy rain is being forced by a frontal boundary off the coast of the Pacific here. This is also going to allow for some damaging wind gusts off the coast all along the west coast here, and going into late Saturday night into Sunday morning here, this is exactly what's happening here with damaging winds along the coast of Oregon and Washington. However, once we go into this time frame, doesn't really look like going to be that much. However, I do think some 30, 40, maybe even 50 mile per hour wind gusts will be possible into this region here perhaps. And then as we go into that time frame with the snow, could potentially see some snowflakes whipping around at 40 miles per hour on the higher elevations as well. So not just snow, could potentially see potential blizzard conditions out of this, or even a blizzard itself. Not really likely for that, but it's certainly a possibility, especially in the NorCal region at this time of year. So now that we're done talking about the Pacific Northwest, let's now focus our attention to the southwestern United States as we go into that time frame here. You can see right here, you can see there's that little mini band of rain that we're going to be seeing moving in bright and early tomorrow morning here. And then as we go into this time frame, we're going to begin to start seeing that snowfall coming down in the higher terrain elevations, perhaps with some cold temperatures as well. And then here comes that heftier shot as we go into that time frame, potentially with a winter snowstorm on the higher elevations, like I said before, and potentially some excessive rainfall, a washout on the west coast of California, primarily focused in Northern California though. So Southern California actually this time is not going to be the brink of this. So at least that is good news. Now taking a look at our Southwest United States temperature outlook here. And you can see as we go through the rest of the day today, we're likely going to be seeing by 4, 5, 6 p.m. around 70-degree Fahrenheit temperatures, even roughly 80-degree temperatures, especially focused into southeastern California. So something to watch there. Not really going to be a big thing with the temperatures, but as we go into this time frame, let me show you this. It's going to be a big switch here from 75 degrees to 20s in this region. That is what's moving in as we go into that time frame. And watch what happens as we go into that time frame. All of that heat will still be there, but by Monday or Tuesday, I'm definitely not seeing this through the day, all right? This is definitely not going to be high temperatures for Tuesday and beyond next week in this region. I'm just going to let everyone know, might feel nice right now, but a mini cold blast is coming, and highs could reach only into the 40s and near 50 degrees in some places. But now it's time to focus our attention to the north central United States and the Great Lakes region and upper Ohio Valley region. As we go into this time frame here, here's the rain, and it's likely going to begin moving into the Ohio Valley Great Lakes region here. This is just a mess of rain here. This is just really gross, all right? I'm saying this because this is going to be a complete washout, and it's going to be very gloomy, along with a northerly flow off our lakes here. Could potentially amount to some fog in these regions right here, all right? So Great Lakes region, or Lake Michigan, down into Lake Erie, and even western Lake Ontario, could potentially see some hefty rain totals along with some fog. So a pretty brutally cloudy day tomorrow and a brutally dreary day tomorrow for most in the Great Lakes region. But let's move that out of here, and that's going to likely move out. Same thing for western PA, but now let's turn our attention to the backside of the cold front here. Let me rewind it a few. I didn't mean to go past that many frames here, but taking a look at this here, you can see by 6 p.m. tomorrow, we're already talking about some convective snow showers across Indiana, getting into the northwest Ohio region as we go later into the nighttime hours here. This could potentially pack a punch in regions like Michigan, and this is likely going to allow for some colder than normal air to drop in, along with that warmer air out ahead of the cold front surging northward. So there's some potential for some heavy rainfall over here, but we'll get to that in a second here. But let's take a look at this as we go into this time frame here. We're going to begin to start seeing some bands developing across Ohio, maybe even into portions like western PA here, and we could potentially see a couple of snow bands developing here. Where those are forming is very uncertain here. This could potentially indeed be a bit further north, affecting like our northwestern PA counties closer to the lake, or this one could be a bit further south, affecting portions of northeastern West Virginia or even Virginia in some cases. But you can see we're also going to be watching these little mini bands developing as we go into the evening hours there on Sunday for you guys. So that's going to be something to keep an eye on. Regardless, it is going to be a mess of rain or snow in this region circled, all right? So if you're in this region, please take precautions and please do not go on the roads, even if it's a downpour of rain, because it's going to be a soaking mess and it's going to be very sloppy outside when you go, and very muddy too. So make sure to wear those clean shoes outside as well. Taking a look at those rain totals for you here as we go into as far as Sunday afternoon here, you can see upwards of a half an inch here, all right? This is definitely at least half an inch in this region right here. However, I'm seeing the bulk of the rainfall in these regions right here. All right, some of this could be snow, but most, if not all of it, is rain in these regions right here, especially the further south you are on the map right now. This is all rain in portions of southern Ohio and getting up into northwestern Ohio. Some of this could be snow in the eastern portion of Ohio and western PA. However, I'm seeing this as mostly rain because of how heavy it is, but there could be some hefty precipitation totals regardless in this entire circled region, all right? So I'm not just talking about some isolated areas. I'm talking about a widespread berth of 1 to 1.5 inches in the circle region right here, like I had right there. So something to keep an eye on here. And some of this on the higher Mediterranean is snow, and we could potentially see 2 to 3 inches there. Little unseasonable for this time of year in this region, but still definitely possible. And taking a look at the temperature trends for the Great Lakes region and the north central United States, you can see as we go into this time frame, we're likely going to be seeing these temperatures on the backside of that cold front. Wow, in the 20s and teens. This will likely allow for below average to much below average temperatures to drop in to the Great Lakes region. So that's something to keep an eye on here. But in the meantime, we're likely going to be seeing that southwesterly flow with that soaking rain, that mess moving in here to the Ohio Valley. Again, that's just going to be a sloppy mess for people that live into this region right here. But also the good side is that there will likely be 50 near 60 degree temperatures in that region as well. So at least there's a good side to that. And then on the backside of the cold front, we'll likely see below average temperatures infiltrating here. This could potentially be a cold blast for the north. However, it's likely not going to last for long. I'm really not seeing this lasting long, like I said before. Sunday afternoon, though, temperatures in the Great Lakes region could not potentially get out of the 30s or even the teens in Quebec or even portions down here into northwest PA. I wouldn't be surprised if we stay below freezing in those regions. And you know what that means? There could potentially be a flash freeze with the sloppiness of the rainfall, the gross rain, and that mess. And then you put snow and then cold on top of that. You're likely going to have icing of rain in this region right here. So something to keep an eye on as well. Not everybody will get the flash freeze like up here in Wisconsin or Michigan. You guys won't, but you guys will get the snow. So regardless, mainly everybody will get widespread rain and or snow as we go into this weekend. So be ready, Great Lakes region. A lot is coming for you, as well as a brief period of below average temperatures. So something to keep an eye on as we go into the weekend. Now that we're done talking about the mess that's going to be upcoming into the north central United States and Great Lakes region, now let's talk about the severe weather and what's to come in the south central United States. Here you can see to this hour, we are dealing with some lines of storms here. Not just one line, lines. We're definitely having definitely more than one line developing here. And some of them are trying to bow out. So some of these are moving very quickly. And we're also starting to see that supercell initiation out ahead of those lines. So something to keep an eye on in terms of tornado activity here. Going to be watching another round of strong to severe thunderstorms as we go into the overnight here. This will primarily be marginally severe for portions of Texas before it dissipates here and then gets onto that batch of rain, that mess that's going to go up into the Great Lakes region through the day tomorrow here. And then the severe weather moves off to the east, and then really we get dry here into this region and potentially cold. So that's something to keep an eye on here. And speaking of temperatures, let's take a look at our temperature forecast for this region here. You can see above average temperatures for much, if not all, of the Gulf Coast, except for these rain-cooled air spots right here. These are rain-cooled, as a matter of fact. Not up here, but over here. These are thunderstorm-cooled places from the downburst of that. You could just see how strong those winds are out ahead of those thunderstorms. And we could potentially see a squall line develop out of the head of the cold front tomorrow. I forgot to mention that. And that's that last round. So we're going to need to watch how intense that gets in Texas tonight. Severe or not, it's going to be gusty. So something to keep an eye on there. But as we go into this time frame, watch as that cold front aggressively pushes those above average temperatures off to the south and southeast here, leaving the south central United States in the potential for 30s. As low as that as we go into tomorrow morning here in Texas, some 40s in the morning and potentially 20s for morning temperatures in Kansas, Nebraska, This is normal for this time of year in the higher elevations there. But for the lower elevations, that's another thing here. We could potentially not get above freezing through the morning hours tomorrow, depending on where you live. Definitely a possibility. But we warm up just a little bit tomorrow here. We're even lucky to get to 50 in these regions tomorrow here. So, again, this is definitely a big cold front, and this will likely allow warmer air to infiltrate northward as we go into the last part of the weekend here following our next storm system, which we'll talk about in a second here once we're done with region by region breakdown. But still, even then, it's going to be a bit average for this time of year with the warm air surging northward here, the normal than average air surging northward. We'll likely be dealing with some showers in this region as we go into Sunday afternoon. High pressure will be dominating, however, still with the forcing, still a possibility for some showers, maybe even some isolated snow showers in places. All right, now that we're done talking about the south central United States, now let's take a look at the southeast here, and you can see same story, some severe weather, a line of storms continuing eastward as we go into the overnight hours here, with another one trying to develop here up and down here, Tennessee Valley, down into the Gulf Coast. Just a nasty mess for areas north of this low. But south of this low, we are still dealing with the potential for severe weather late tomorrow morning into tomorrow afternoon here, with a brief line of storms. Could potentially have some pretty intense wind gusts with that. I'll show you the low-level jet energy in a second here. But you can see we're also going to be seeing the main line of this whole thing tomorrow. This is kind of the big headline that's going to be on the news for you tomorrow in Florida and Georgia, with a line of severe thunderstorms all the way up and down the mid-Atlantic and the southeast. That will likely break up as that moves eastward and off the coast here, leaving behind just some light rain showers for southern Florida, and of course some warm temperatures, which are normal this time of year, and we'll be watching the higher elevations for perhaps some widespread snow, light to moderate snow throughout the afternoon hours on Sunday through eastern Kentucky, West Virginia, and southwestern PA. Now let's take a look at that low-level jet energy here for those thunderstorms that develop here. First off, going into the rest of the day today, any line of thunderstorms that develop in this region could potentially produce some pretty intense wind gusts, maybe even some downbursts with some supercells that might develop, or even an isolated tornado. You can see those wind barbs going around in all different directions. So potentially for a tornado tonight, that's going to not be out of the question here. But as that line of storms form tomorrow afternoon for you here, this could include some 50, 60, even 70 mile per hour gusts here. So that's something to keep an eye on there. Not expecting up to 80, but it's certainly a possibility. Anything can happen with down here this time of year. But anyways, taking a look at this as we go through the afternoon hours tomorrow here, we're likely going to be watching a gusty line of storms. Really not going to be a big line of storms. Regardless, it's likely going to be producing the potential for an isolated tornado or even some hail. So something to keep an eye on here. Regardless, wind will be the primary threat in these regions, though, for the first line of storms that do happen to develop tomorrow morning. So something to keep an eye on there. This will definitely be capable of damaging winds higher than 60 miles per hour. So make sure to secure anything. Now let's take a look at the temperature trends for the southeastern United States here. And you can see temperatures highlighted in the 70s and 80s down here in Florida. Here you can see as we go into this time frame, we'll likely see that cold front, however, pushing those cooler than normal temperatures as far south as the Florida Panhandle. By the time we're reaching Sunday morning here, temperatures could not get out of the 50s. We'll be even lucky if we get near 60 in the Florida Panhandle through the day on Sunday. It's just a matter of time of how models like to time things out with this. Regardless, though, we will be seeing effects, big difference of temperatures from the cold front in this region. Not so much in this region, but this region, boy, is it going to be a big difference here. When that line of storms comes through, it's going to be like moist and warm, and it's going to feel very cold in like a snap of a finger. That's basically the kind of day we're going to have tomorrow and the kind of day we're going to have on Sunday, except it's going to be very cold and potentially breezy for this time of year in Florida Panhandle. So something to keep an eye on there. And even taking a look at the Carolinas, like temperatures might not even get out of the 40s through the day tomorrow and Sunday. So something to keep an eye on there. I said tomorrow, late tomorrow, because the cold front will already be through these regions right here. So the really severe threat will be captized down here in the Florida Panhandle and up into South Carolina. So something to keep an eye on there. Not really looking at a big threat of severe weather. I disagree with the Storm Prediction Center's outlook. However, I do think that that slight risk is a higher than normal risk. Well, a higher risk for tornadoes in a highlighted region. So definitely a day to keep an eye on and use those NOAA weather radios for yourselves, or even tune into Storm Chasers live stream. So that's a good day to do that tomorrow. Make sure you do that if you can. Highly recommended. Storm Chasers can catch some pretty good videos of tornadoes, damaging winds, and significant hail too. So make sure to check out Reed Timmer's channel or Ryan Hall. Well, not Ryan Hall, y'all, because he only goes live on Hatched Risk or 10% Tornado Days or on Derecho Days. So something to keep an eye on there. But still, watch Reed Timmer, because you know he'll be live for any severe weather event there is. And there will definitely be him down there if there's a risk for tornadoes. So go check him out right now. All right, now let's take a look at the Northeast United States here. As we go into this time frame here, you can see there comes that soaking rain as we go into tomorrow morning here. This will likely turn into a line of storms as we go into tomorrow afternoon and the evening. Potentially a gusty line of showers and thunderstorms, especially focused into this region right here. Definitely a possibility for some isolated severe weather here. And then as we go into the day on Sunday, we're potentially watching some heavy snow in the Northeast, potentially with some winter storm conditions. However, this will likely lead to some pretty hefty totals for snow accumulations here. In this region, though, is a separate area. We'll likely see some convective snow showers off the lake here by Lake Ontario, maybe even Lake Erie as we go into that time frame, maybe even Lake Superior as well, with some of those gustier lines of snow and maybe even some rumbles of thunder, which we call thunder snow. And let's take a look at those snow totals for the Northeast here. And you can see coating up to 3 inches in portions of this region right here, getting up into the Northeast. We could potentially see some pretty hefty totals of snow in the Northeast as we go into Sunday afternoon here, potentially coating up or above to a foot of snow in these higher terrain elevations here. I really do think there's a possibility for snow to reach down here, but it's certainly a possibility for it not to, like this model is showing. So again, not really like a good guidance of where the snow will be. Just know there will be some hefty totals with wherever gets hit. We'll get some very hefty snow totals out of this in the Northeast. But guys, it's time to look into the future with the longer range models here. And we have a lot on the longer range models here. So let's start by taking a look at our European model here. You can see this is the latest model run update here. You can see there's that system here. And once that moves out of here, this will likely bring the snow into the Northeast. Could potentially look for a blizzard in this region. So that's something to keep an eye on there. I forgot to mention that. Some pretty gusty winds with this system. But as we go into this time frame, we'll likely be dominated with high pressure down here in the Southeast here. And then we'll likely be watching another round of moisture moving in here as we go into the middle part of next week, maybe with some isolated severe weather in this region right here. Might need to watch for a northern expansion of that as we go into that time frame. Not really looking too promising as of right now, but still something to keep an eye on here. And the big thing to watch is the next system that comes out of this here. And this is Thursday the 14th as of right now. Some very warm, moist air trudging northward very, very quickly here. This could potentially lead to the first outbreak of the season here. And this definitely is signaling that this is definitely screaming an outbreak of severe weather could be possible, especially down on the Gulf Coast. And even that, regardless, very heavy rain totals look to be possible with this, all right? And this is a long-range model run, and it's showing you very heavy rain very far out. So this is definitely a thing to watch, no doubt about that for sure. But as we go into this time frame, this looks to trend northward here. Gonna need to still watch the track of this low, but it looks like some pretty hefty snow total or some rain totals here. And now talking about the snow here, you can see we're likely going to be watching the positioning of the snow as well. And that snow could potentially drop here, and we're going to be watching that as well. Regardless, it looks like it's going to be a big storm system for the southeast and potentially the Ohio Valley. So that's something to keep an eye on there. Maybe some hefty severe weather outbreak could be a possibility, especially, again, signaling specifically down in the Gulf Coast. And the GFS likes to show something little similar with the next storm system here. You can see there goes that storm system bye-bye. Maybe a little bit heavier snowfall in this region right here. But both models are on the go for both storm systems here, in that there could potentially be a blizzard in this region right here. So something to keep an eye on with that. As we go into this time frame, this model is a bit more intense of where this thing develops here, and this takes it up and all the way to the Ohio Valley here with some rainfall, maybe even some gusty winds with that as we go into that time frame. But all indication is that all of this is going to be in agreement here. So I wouldn't be surprised tomorrow, Saturday or Sunday, Monday, if we get a 15% slight risk in one of these regions right here in the Gulf Coast. Certainly a possibility, but we're just going to have to see, because there is still a model discussion, just the slightest bit. That's why I said I have confidence at a 15% slight risk, because both Euro and GFS are focusing heavy rainfall and severe weather potentially in this region. So there would likely be potentially maybe a 15% area, and I'm putting a question mark on that right now, but it's certainly a possibility as we go into the next couple days. So keep your eye out for that. Regardless, we have a very excessive rainfall event coming, no doubt, what the models are showing right now. But as we go into this time frame, all indication is that we calm down. But don't let that fool you, because we're going to be watching another storm system moving northward. So beyond this point here of the 18th time frame, we're still going to be watching this potential for some severe weather in that region, all right? It's not like when that system goes out of here, it's going to stop, all right? It might look like that right now, and you're probably like, oh my gosh, there's no more storm systems. Well, look to the left side of your screen, all right? I'm circling more rain that could potentially be moving in to the United States, all right? So we are definitely not done with the storm systems, and we're not even close, actually. We haven't even started tornado season yet, my friends. So it's going to get very active from here and could potentially be a super active month for severe weather in April, potentially in areas further north like Illinois, Indiana, Ohio region, potentially getting in on some of that. That's abnormally north for April, but it has happened before, so in transitions to El Nino and La Nina and neutral phases. So definitely the potential is there for some systems to go as far north as northern Ohio and southern Michigan. definitely not out of the question. So it's going to be a close one here, but that's all I have for you guys, I guess, for you guys today. I'm Severe Storm Filmer. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.